Hello, everybody. Welcome. Welcome to AI Live. We have a fun night for you.
Yes, we do.
We have a special guest who we know and love.
Yes.
And we're going to talk to you about that special guest in a minute. But first, we kind of go through what happened and what did we do this last month to share with our AI family. So,
I don't know.
What happened? What did we do in the last month since we've seen our?
I have no idea. All I know is I went to New York, then I had to try to get back to LA before the hurricane hit LA, which really was not a hurricane at all. But I got stuck in the airport for 3 hours trying to get back. But it was great to see people at it was Galderma's Train the Trainers, and so got to see a lot of my peoples that we don't get to see very often. I think that's why I love going to conferences. I can't wait to see our next guest sometime soon.
It's fun. We Galderma went nuts with this thing. I mean, the production was amazing. They turned Spring Street into this huge production, but we had great information, newest research out there. We got to network with the researchers, people who did the research, and learned a lot. Met the inventor of Restylane, Per. So I was like, it was pretty cool. Really amazing weekend.
Yeah, the science. I like the science. That was the one where they dehydrated the Restylane products and they dehydrated the Vicross products, and then they just watched it. And then they rehydrated it after 5-6 hours, and then you could see how certain products really rehydrated back into the shape, and other ones changed shapes as it rehydrated. Yeah. So it's kind of hopefully it's not in live tissue, but out on a petri dish, you can kind of see how these potential fillers could go in and out and potentially move. Because you're dehydrating. When you get dehydrated, is it taking away from some of the fillers, and then it rehydrates when you rehydrate? So interesting.
That totally goes with the question I asked Per, who, like I said, is the inventor of Restylane, and with us looking at these studies of hydration and how some of them are very hydrophilic and they really hydrate quite a bit and some don't. I asked him, I said, how long does it take for Restylane to become totally hydrated? Because I was asking about Restylane product in the tissue. How long does it take? And he was like, that's a good question. I'm like, so what we were kind of chit-chatting about was it was very dependent upon tissue hydration and where it went and the environment around it. It was just like strictly diffusion, really. So it was kind of interesting. It was kind of cool. We always like to pick brains of the smarter people, but it was really, really interesting.
Cool.
Yeah.
With that, we are going to talk PDO Threads with Dr. Jessie Cheung.
Hi, how are you, girl? Long time no see.
So much to do for a little time.
I saw I was following you. You went on a safari. How was that?
Oh, dude, yes. I was in Africa for almost 2 weeks. It was pretty cool.
I will have to when we sit down, you have to tell me all about it. That's my dream, to do a safari.
Bucket list for sure.
Right?
Bucket list. Giraffe Manor is on my bucket list.
Animals eating other animals.
Oh. I love it. How fun.
All right. Well, Jessie, tell everybody out there kind of what's your background, how long you've been in the aesthetic industry, how you got into aesthetics. Because you're a dermatologist out in Chicago, so...
Yeah, I am from New York originally. I did my medical school in New York. I came out to Chicago for my dermatology residency. I am now closer to 50 than I am to 40, so I'm actually pretty old. I graduated in 2006. I did a fellowship back in New York with a plastic surgeon dermatologist. So I did a lot of lasers, a lot of liposuction, a lot of fillers, injectables. And I was actually doing the contour threads back in 2006, so the permanent threads. So, those had issues that came off the market, but they were cool and they were fun to play with. And so when the PDO threads came back around, started bringing those in about 7 or 8 years ago, I think, in my practice.
Nice. Awesome. So as far as the aesthetic industry, I mean, you seem to have already decided, because dermatologists, you have the choice of doing your traditional dermatology. What drew you into the aesthetic field? I mean, because that's rare for dermatologists to really say, I want to do aesthetics.
Mm-hmm.
So I was lucky that during my residency, we were at the county hospital in Chicago. So we had patients who wanted to look better, but couldn't pay for it at regular offices. And so we were doing liposuction fillers, fat transfer during our residency, which was pretty cool. Sclerotherapy and even Botox then. So I had an interest, and I decided to do a fellowship for extra training. After I finished my fellowship, I joined an academic institution, New York University, NYU, and I was on the faculty group practice. I did both cosmetics and medical derm. And then I came to Chicago eventually, when another academic practice, did both academics and medical too. Then I eventually did my own practice, and I started with medical derm initially, kind of 70-30, half and half, because that's what you do. Like, you feel guilty as a dermatologist not doing medical derm. But then I realized that it just wasn't sustainable to do medical at the same time. You're busy doing the cosmetics, and the scheduling is crazy. The insurances is crazy. The load on my front office for dealing with the insurances and calls was just too much. And it was a very hard decision. I felt very guilty initially when I got away from medical derm, but I'm really happy now. But I do miss it a little bit because I'm not up to date with all the new biologic medications for psoriasis. Not that I need to be using them, but I'm out of touch a little bit with medical derm, but I can treat acne. So yeah. My practice is mostly aesthetics. I also do quite a bit of hormone therapy, anti-aging, regenerative medicine, a lot of sexual health too, because it just kind of naturally came out of the lasers that I was using for in general.
You've expanded quite a bit. We're going to talk to you about that because we want to learn about some of the stuff you're doing.
It's been fun. A lot of Botox the past couple months with my male patients.
Yeah, that's what we hear.
That's very
So we're definitely going to
interesting.
ask you about that.
I got to learn that because I think it's super fun to just learn different things.
Yeah.
You get to you do the face and you're doing it well, and it's like, okay, what else is there?
Well, she's figured something out. Yeah, she's figured something out.
So tell us kind of, you played with contour threads. What were the plus minuses there? And then when these dissolvable threads came back into the US and finally can use it, were you already looking at it? Because I know my Asian patients have been using them for 15, 20 years. And I've been watching them waiting for us to get it here in the US. And finally, when we got it here, I started learning about it. But kind of what was your background with regards to threads?
Yeah. I mean, so contour threads were intense. I think the patients, they were under anesthesia. And so as a dermatologist, I don't want to put patients under. And so they took them off the market eventually, too many scars, too many complications. So I think in my practice, I think the silhouette came first to Chicago. And they were okay, they were interesting, fun to use, but not the best lift, kind of nice for volume, collagen, but in terms of lifting, I was not as impressed. And then the PDOs came out very soon after, and those were very versatile. You can go in all different directions when they have all different, sizes and stuff. And I started playing with them more, all different companies, all different threads, and just really just played with them on my own. And obviously now I know you with men in Miracle, I use a lot of those threads. I love them. They're just really fun to play with, and patients love them too.
So how long have you been doing those, the PDO ones?
Oh God, so I think it's been 6 or 7, 8 years. I don't know. I think COVID. I made sense of time as really bad, but probably 2000. Wait, we're to 2023 right now. So only COVID 2020, 2017, 2018, I think. Yeah, been a while.
So what are your favorite things to do with threads currently? I mean, are there more faces? Are they bodies? I mean, what do you think
the
is
face
the most
is going to be the most common area that I thread. But I do thread the body because it's fun. It's just another thing that we can do to help the skin quality, to move skin around, to work on the fat too. I love threading faces. I think every face is a challenge. There are definitely some patients that might not be the best candidates for threads, but they want threads. They don't want to have surgery. They're sick of fillers and lasers. They want instant gratification. I like the challenges because I like to challenge myself, right? I get bored easily. So faces, difficult necks and jowls, I think those are the most fun for me to do.
For those that are watching and listening, what is your advice when jumping into the thread game? Because it's different in my book than fillers and toxins. I mean, walk them through the thought patterns that go through your head when you because you teach, you train, but what do you tell people that are starting into it and saying, yeah, I can do threads, it's easy, it looks easy?
I say it looks easy, but there is a very big learning curve. It took me quite a while for me to be comfortable with my results and the reproducibility of those results, because there's no real wrong or right way to do threads. There's just better ways to do threads, and I'm always changing how I do them too. I think number one, knowing anatomy. I do quite a few trainings, and there's people who come in and they took a weekend course on filler, and they're like master injectors, and they don't really know anatomy. And I'm like, okay, well, where do you think the filler should go for this patient? And if you were to thread them, where do you want that skin and fat to move? And they look at me, they're like, they do look like cutter approaches. I'm like, well, yeah, that's what we see other people do, but for this individual patient, what can you do to make them look their best? So knowing anatomy, knowing where you kind of want those vectors to go, and just really getting that hand memory. So I tell patients, tell the trainees to go back and do as many threads as they can on their staff, on their family. It's more forgiving that way, but really just getting used to the threads and how they feel when they go through the tissue, because complications can happen, all right, and we don't like complications, but maybe not as bad as filler complications, but we want patients to like the threads, and there is definitely that learning curve to get the good results.
It really is. What do you think is the biggest mistake newbies make with threads that you're just like, just watch out?
Yes, I say when you start doing threads, start with the cheek. That's easy. It's easy to do a cheek. Once you start to get in the jowls and the jawline, there's all these other fat pads and ligaments you got to work against. It's more challenging. And I say, doing one area to start with is easier. You're not going to be as tired. Your patient won't be as tired. It's easier to keep you comfortable, right? So start slow and just little bits at a time. When you master one area, move on to the next.
Good. Very, very good.
I agree. Okay, so you are part of the Mint Lift Summit. Yay! So, kind of explain to our listeners, to our viewers, like what is this? What is Lift? What is the company? What have they done in the past, and how did this come about?
Yeah, so Mint's been in America for quite a while. They have quite a few FDA indications. We like them because they have the 360 helical barbed thread design, which is very grippy, very Velcro-y, and they have quite a few different types of threads, different lengths, different sizes for different parts of the face. And so this is the first in-person hybrid event where there's going to be didactic plus hands. Well, we're doing the hands-on part. We're doing live demonstration. And it's going to be, I think, more than 200 people in person, right? So in the past, Mint has done the virtual, what is it called? The virtual VI must, right?
Yeah.
And those were fun because you maybe had like 5 different people doing the threads throughout the day, and it was fun to see different techniques. But I think in person is always better because you pick up all these little pearls, and it's just more consultations that get facilitated in person versus virtual. Because virtual, you're typing questions, and no one else is asking, and people can't get to all the questions during the podcast. So I'm very excited. I believe Saturday is a day full of talks and demonstrations, and then we have I think a big cocktail dinner, fun giveaway raffles event at night, and then Sunday I think it's VIP, and that's where we're doing more live hands-on throughout the day.
The Sunday is a VIP event. I think that already sold out.
It sold out like the first week.
The first day.
It was
couple of days, because they limited it because they're coming to the clinic here, or the Aesthetic Immersion is, and we're literally taking small groups and working with the small groups to show them more hands-on in a more intimate way. So that's really, really kind of exciting, because I agree with you. It's a different change than being virtual. As much as virtual is cool, I think it's now starting to go back to the conferences and seeing people and just chit-chatting.
Yes.
And I think that's where you get your pearls more. Yes, on stage, I mean, you could get that from the virtuals and watch people, but being there, interacting with different people, getting different ideas that hopefully stimulate your mind to start playing, because that's what Threads needs. You keep playing, as you say, you keep adjusting as you do things, because the different challenges that patients come in. I do the same thing. People are always like, why are you doing it that way? Why is it changed? And I'm like, because the face has changed. I've learned a different vectoring that I really, really like. So it's fun.
It's like as research changes, and as we learn, we adapt new techniques. And I think that's So important, because I think that a lot of people don't read research, they don't go to conferences, they just like learn the first week of whatever, medical aesthetics, and then they work forever. And they get stuck in that rut of something that was long years ago, and their assessment skills haven't evolved. And I think it's so important for people to come to a summit like this, to be able to network with other providers and realize how important it is for us to maintain our education, to invest in our education, and to do the best that we can do for our patients. So important. So something like this, and I'm so thankful that Mint is putting this on, because it allows so many providers, both live and virtually, to really get in there and really level up their skills and learn new techniques and have a better result with their patients. It makes them look better. So it's a win-win.
I mean, at the end of the day, Jessie, for you, I mean, when you're talking to providers out there who are skeptical of Threads, like, where do you think Threads fits in your arsenal of tools for your patients? Like, people are like, I can just do toxins and fillers and I'm completely fine. I don't need Threads. I don't need blah, blah, blah. I mean, we're all believers in it. Why do you believe in it? And what is your thought pattern behind why you brought it?
Threads make us better instead of providers. You know, if all you have is a hammer, everything is a nail that you see, right? But, you know, having other tools that we can use to make our patients look better makes sense, and Threads work, right? So you could fill all day long. You know, for many years, we didn't have Threads, right? After between contact threads, silhouettes, and PDOs, when they came, it was quite a few years. You may do with lasers and fillers and injectable, you know, Botox, but we're missing, you know, that skin motion without doing surgery. And we don't want to do surgery. I don't want to do facelifts. They're pretty gory, you know? So I think if you don't do Threads, it's a bit of a disservice to your patients, because they're missing out on that bridge before surgery. You might not even need surgery if you do Threads enough, right? I don't plan on having a facelift, you know.
Right?
No, I completely agree. I already started getting Threads myself, so and you know, it is about that naturalness. It is about the synergy. You know, I think understanding as we're aging, we realize, you know, how Threads is an integral part of a tool. And if you don't do the Threads, you really miss a huge segment of the population. And I think hopefully, as practitioners are all more open to trying it out, doing it, you know, that it becomes more of an educational experience for patients, and it becomes more acceptable among the patients, because you hear it, oh my God, they're sticking this whole thing down your thing, it looks so barbaric, you know. But you know, when you see the results, they are amazing, and you can't replicate it with anything else that we do. You really can't replicate it.
You can't. Energy devices can tighten a little bit, but nothing like Threads. But then Threads are nothing like a facelift either. So we always have to make sure that we're very honest and we're very open with our patients, that facelift might give you the best results for your issue. And if they say, I'm never going to do that, or I don't want to, well then, okay, here's the next best thing, and we can give you a perk with the Threads. And it works beautifully, and we have super happy patients. But I think it's so important that we have Threads nowadays, because it treats one of the variables of aging that fillers can't fix. You know, we lose volume and we use bone. So we lose bone and fat, and that's volume. So we can fill that because we lose volume. But the skin laxity is a whole nother issue. And if you start filling faces with filler to lift skin, you're going to have a lot of Cabbage Patch dolls walking around. You're going to have a lot of bowling ball faces and avatars, because they're not going to look natural. And time and time again, our patients come in and they're like, I want to look natural. I'm afraid that I'm going to be one of those people I see in Neiman Marcus or whatever. So they're really fearful that they're going to look unnatural. And that's something that we can, if we treat them in the ways and the variables that they age, then we can help them look more natural as we anti-age them, which is important.
So, you know, we all love Mint, but, you know, of course, being that we are AI live and we're just here to disrupt things and just chit chat, you know, what other threads have you played with? What other threads do you like? What have you gone through? And, you know, we can be honest, like, what
I will
did you
share, yes.
what Like, who out there do you know?
I have thousands of dollars of inventory in my fridge, in my closet, just old stuff I don't touch. I should throw them out, but you feel bad because you paid thousands, right? So I think the silhouettes came out and I used them. They were good for what they are. I have quite a few in my fridge still, which is, a little sad. I think Novas are the first thread that we got in Chicago for PDO, and they were the cut thread. So, we used to pull and oops, you would break a thread, or your patient would be like, oh, yawned, and I think I heard a snap, and the lift is gone. So cut threads just don't last very long with not much tensile strength. And then I think we've had Renovatio, we've had what is it, PDO Max, we've had so right now, like I have mostly it's in Miracus in my office.
Nice. I mean, that's kind of, myself.
Yeah, and I think like those are two companies, Mint and Miracle. Those are two companies that manufacture their own threads, package their own threads, and send those directly to us.
Yeah.
So we know that the integrity is good, and they haven't been exposed to heat and humidity, as opposed to many Korean companies, or one big company, whatever, that makes a lot of threads, and they just send them out, and then somebody puts their name on the package, and they sell them as ABC threads and duck face threads and whatever. So they just put their name on the package. So you don't know the quality of that, and I think it's so important for us to have a company like Mint that really will take the money it takes to do the research and to invest in good, strong threads. And Miracle does this too with the good, strong barbs and these molded barbs that really give our patients long outcomes, and they can be very reliable.
And
that's really important.
Companies that put money towards education, because their educational program actually is huge.
Yes.
I mean, they, yes, you have to put up upfront money, but at the end of the day, you get back a majority of it in credits to utilize, so you can go back and start playing. And people look at it as like, I'm playing that much. Well, you're getting almost free education so that you can go back and hone your skill set and really grow from that. And I think people don't take advantage of it because, ultimately I consider almost free education that they're giving it. They pay us a decent amount to help train for them, and they don't really make money off of the training. Their whole goal is to get the industry more educated on how to do threads properly. Because I think when things in the thread game work well, and everybody is starting to do good work, maybe they may pull back on education. It's not going to be as cheap. So all you guys out there that really want to get some education, go get the education while it's, to me, reasonable.
Yeah.
It's very reasonable out there.
So let me kind of clarify. So you pay for the private training, but you get pretty much that much in threads.
Yeah.
So it kind of washes out even. So I don't think you could get a better deal than that. And I love that Mint does that because you're learning how to use them, and then you get some so you can use them right away. And you don't lose those skills that you learn in your private training. So we both do the private trainings. You do Jessie, but we do the private trainings for the companies, and it's really nice that Mint will send those threads to those patients, to those delegates.
I love Mint's commitment to teaching. It's like that rising tide lifts all boats, because yes, if people are doing threads well, more people are going to want to do threads. If you have patients with complications or threads that don't last and things, that's when it gets a bad name in the industry.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So I hear that you're going to be doing something with this new skin booster that Mint is introducing. Tell us more about
Clartier.
Clartier.
Sounds like Cartier, right?
I know.
Oh, okay, that's an easy way to remember it.
Cartier.
Cartier.
It's right up your alley.
Right up your alley. So tell us about this.
Yeah, so these are skin boosters. So as a dermatologist, I'm kind of a nerd, right? So we know that there are different things that affect your skin in different ways. So what I love about Cartier is there's two different types that we have right now. We have the Dia, which is the diamond, and then we have the ruby. And what they're meant for, so different skin types. But basically, skin boosters is the idea of putting these chemicals into the top layer of the skin to stimulate collagen, elastin, rejuvenation, increases in elastin, working on your browns, your reds, treating melasma, those types of chemicals. So Cartier Dia, which is what we call diamond, they just say Dia for whatever reason. This is Cartier Dia, and these have what we call a hyalosome. So what is a hyalosome? This is basically a multi-layer encapsulated cross-linked HA. And they mix it with niacinamide and glutathione. So basically you have hyaluronic acid for hydration, deep pumping of your skin, slow release over time with your brightener and your inflammatory, glutathione and niacinamide. And then Dia, which is the diamond, has also PDRNs. What do we know about PDRNs? Polyribonucleotides, right? These are those DNA fragments that come from salmon sperm, huge in Europe and Asia. Used for collagen rejuvenation because number one, what do? They're very good antioxidant scavengers. Number two, they do really good moisture. They pull moisture deep into the skin. And number three, they work with collagen rejuvenation. So kind of a win-win for all things. Amino acids, vitamins, peptides. They also have something called resurrection plant extract. So this plant comes from South Africa, where it is. And this plant is basically famous for drying out over time. And when the rains come, it just like swells up like crazy, hydrates very quickly. So basically a very hydrating extract that they add along to the hyaluronic acid and the vitamins and minerals. So basically, the diamond is really meant for mature skin types who really want that deep moisture and also increasing their collagen elasticity over time. Sensitive skin types, very tolerable. So we've been using this in the office for quite a while now, and we've been loving it. Patients walk out looking just very glowy, very hydrated, and it lasts for quite a while. So we could talk about how to use skin boosters in your practice, but this is the diamond, the Dia. And then we have the ruby. So it's red for ruby. And what's different about this one? This has that same hyalosome with that long, slow releasing hyaluronic acid with the glutathione, niacinamide, brightening antioxidant. Also has a tranexamic acid, which is a hot chemical that we use in melasma now, which stabilizes the blood vessels so you don't get that increase in pigment over time. So basically helps the reds and browns. Also hydrating, good for blemishes. Has a sorbitol glucoside, which is a type of vitamin C, which is very non-irritating, very good antioxidant. So basically, maybe patients who have blemishes, reds, browns, and just want some hydration too. So what we do is we mix them quite often in the office. So we'll cocktail other things into this if we want to at the same time, but basically, how do we put these into the skin? You can inject them with microdroplet, right, which is a little ouchy. We use like skin rollers, we use those microchanneling devices. You can put them on after lasers that poke holes into the skin, like radiofrequency microneedling, or we have a couple of devices we use. But anytime the skin barrier is impaired, you can use these into the skin. And what's nice is if they have a laser where they're kind of red or hot, you put this stuff on, they feel better immediately, and you get an instant kind of glow and hydration. You could do it just as a skin booster without lasers. So, after microneedling or channeling, they're happy because they see that instant gratification with that moisture, that glow, that plump. And then over time, they get that collagen increase with the PDRNs and the peptides and amino acids and everything. So we've had quite a few patients come back within a few weeks and just want more,
That's
we also
awesome.
add microbotox on occasion to this because we like microbotox on poreless finish, right? There's other things you can cocktail. It just depends on what you do in your practice. But very fun.
Oh.
Okay, so Mint, if anybody from Mint is watching, you know our address. Just send us a box.
You want some more?
We're all in there. Yeah.
Wow.
That's awesome.
That's pretty cool.
Love. I love those ingredients. PDRN.
Yeah.
We were just talking about that.
I mean, that's where the industry is going
Love
at this
it.
point in time, right? You look at the European
Regenerative
market.
aesthetic.
Yeah.
Yes.
The European market, the Asian markets, actually, I mean, even 2-3 years ago, were all about, probably even longer, was all about the PDRNs, the things that are going to actually create more hydration, create more nutrition for your skin. And I think that has been the trend already. We're in the US, we're so late to this trend. But it is about skin quality, skin glow. I mean, you use exosomes like we do. And so, it's a combination of all. I definitely think, I've benefited a lot from using things like that. I'm kind of excited to try that one too.
I'm really excited to try that.
You get that instant hydration, that plumping, which people love. And you walk out looking beautiful, basically, and over time you get even better.
Love that.
So what's your favorite way to utilize it? Are you doing massaging it
So
into the skin?
I could delegate to my staff. So my physicians, they'll usually, either microchanneling on those little stamper devices, or they'll do microneedling and use that as a glide, and then also just put on after they poke the holes. We do a lot of lasers. We'll do it after their radiofrequency microneedling. We have other devices too, like laser thulium, pixel. Those will poke holes into the skin to open up the barrier. And patients like it because there's less downtime. They look less red, they look more hydrated, so it's not as drying. Yes, you can do that for those. What's beautiful about these is it's kind of instant gratification. You look just really plump and moisturized like instantly.
Wow.
I mean,
You know,
who doesn't need that?
I mean that's great. Like if you need to look great for an event, a light little micro channeling, light little thing, and then the next day your skin
Oh,
is
yeah.
glowy.
So
Same
how
day you
long,
look beautiful, basically. Yeah.
how long does the effect seem to last? How often does it
So,
need?
Mint, when they came out with these, they said you could do a treatment every 2 weeks for the first few times. We've seen, like my staff, who's done well to my staff, they will get even a month later. We haven't had it for that long, but it's at least a month, I believe. If you think about how these ingredients work, this hyalosome, which is that a slow release cross-linked HA, that's going to sit in your skin for quite a while. It's interesting because patients, they still look good when I see them back 2, 3, 4 weeks later, but they want more, because they want that instant gratification. They want to see how much they can push it, and that it works. The skin will soak it up. So why not?
Excellent.
Wow, that's
Oh, I love
awesome.
it. I
That's
can't wait to
amazing.
give it. I'll do you, you do me.
Okay. We just need to get the product.
I know, Mint,
That's not fair. How come you got
send
them
it
and we
to
didn't get
us.
any?
No. Maybe because they
I
know we
love
need it
it.
in Chicago because it's so dry, the air here, right? You guys have like nice weather out in LA. You don't need to look that good.
That's
Oh
probably
my
true.
gosh.
That's probably true. All right.
How lucky are we? Oh,
Well, what
gosh.
else can we tell people right now?
Do you have any specific topics you're covering at the conference besides like in doing threads? What else are you doing?
So my talk, the title is, I think it's patient selection, the importance of patient selection screening, and also introducing the skin boosters. More skin boosters have not been big in America, right? Mesotherapy, that term's been around for years, but we don't really do it much in America because I don't know why. Maybe we haven't had the right products for it. I know Allergan has Skin V, which is coming out. I believe that's a skin booster. It's just HA, hyaluronic acid, without the PDRNs or the other vitamins, minerals, peptides. But I think the trend now is really rejuvenation, right? The millennials, they want to prevent, they want to look good when they want to be, without a filter on their selfies. So it's all about getting that filter-free skin, that beautiful glow. And so that's where skin boosters are really, I think that's where they fit in your practice. I have many of my older patients, they love these because they want that instant hydration, that glow too. But young patients like these little tweakments where there's not much downtime, they look really normal and they don't look fake. The young generation, they want to be authentic. And so it's all about not being too different unless they're Kardashian, maybe. But embracing all that beauty and just being a better version of themselves.
Amazing.
Oh, I
Really
love that.
amazing. I
I
love
love
that.
Exciting. I love it. So tell me kind of out of some of the different, the different issues that you've had with threads, when people are brand new, I know there's a lot of people on here who are watching who have never done it and they're kind of thinking about threads and they're nervous about it because they hear about a lot of complications. What do you find that new injectors kind of stumble on when they're trying to learn? What are some of the more common problems that you see when you're teaching?
So I think it's all about staying in the right depth. That's probably the hardest thing that people have to master. When you're going in different parts of the face, the fat layers, they feel very different, right? People get lost in this area sometimes. There's no bone to feel. And so getting those dimples, those little bumps that you get when the barbs are too superficial or that's probably the hardest thing that we have to teach about. And I say it's all about, go slow and raise your cannulas. You can see that little sausage under your mattress, right? Don't go too fast. I have people who just jab that thread and where did that thread go? We don't know. So be gentle, take your time, really know your depth. That's probably the biggest thing you have to learn because if you put it right in a different direction, maybe you shouldn't go. And as long as you're in the right depth, it's not the end of the world, right? But when you
Right.
have those puckers, patients hate that.
I see you really like more reverse vectors than traditional. Tell me why.
So I am a speed demon. As you can tell, I'm from New York. I talk fast, right? I found just early on, traditional, you're going back in the hairline. You have to, pull the hair out of the way. You got to shave them down or, clean that whole area. And the barbs sometimes pull the hair into the skin, and then you get those granulomas and things when the hair gets stuck. That burned me early on. And so, after doing silhouettes where you kind of go from the middle and you go back both directions, I was like, well, why don't we do threads? in that same reverse way, because the thread really ends up in the same place, right? It's really, depending on the barb design you have, it works either going this way or that way. And for me, it's much easier for me to start from the bottom, work my way to the top, because I don't have to worry about hair. I got stuck in my tunnel. And it was faster for me. And my patients, actually, I think the lift I get is better than doing traditional. So I really love going reverse because it just makes sense to me. And I hardly do traditionals, but I can
So
teach them.
do you ever tie them off?
Yes, I do. And I haven't had issues with tying. So I think by tying, you're making a knot, and that knot is a bigger seed for collagen stimulation, right? So the more greater surface area volume, whatever that is, you're making a bigger volume of that surface area to build collagen around. So I think it makes sense to me to put a knot in to make that little seed for that collagen.
Yeah, true. Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I noticed on Instagram, it's like mostly you're going reverse. So I'm like, okay, sometimes we do a blend, sometimes traditional, whatever. But everybody's got their own technique and their own comfort with what they're doing. You know, some people like you're more comfortable doing a reverse vector and you get good at, and that's what you do. And we do that sometimes. I do more traditionals than anything.
I do both.
Yeah. But I think, we do, but I do more traditional than, I would say I probably do 60%, 70% more traditional than I do reverse. Although reverse is awesome, but I think it all has to do with knowing your thread and knowing where the lifting barbs are, where the anchoring barbs are, and what happens when you turn that thread backwards. Does it give you more lifting or more anchoring? So threads are kind of like filler. We have to know the rheology of filler. So we need to know the polyology of threads. And I'm going to trademark that word because that's my word. But I call it polyology because threads are polydioxanone, poly-L-lactic acid, or poly-L-caprylactone. So they're polys. And if we need to know that what that thread's made up of, just like rheology. So where do the lifting barbs come? How much separation is there or transition zone before we get the anchoring or the barbs that hold them in? And that really, if we know that, we know how far we can go into the tissue. We know how much is it going to hold. We know what'll happen if we turn it around. So it just gives us more knowledge in the different techniques that we can employ with these different types of threads, which is even more fun.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you do a lot of combination with your threads with like fillers or other things at the same time? Like
So I like to thread first because I tell my patients they're going to wind up needing less filler after we put the threads in. Unless they're traveling from out of state or something, I tend to do my threads first and then do filler after I see them back. Because I find that you don't need as much filler unless you're doing a totally different area, right?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I think the only time I do fillers right away first is if I see a lot of mid-cheek deficit. I feel as though that person needs this filled so that I can pull them up properly. That's where
I've been playing with barb threads for volume creation. You know, you kind of like put the thread in a couple passes and kind of have a bunch up there to make a little seed for collagen. That's fun. I don't know if you've done that.
interesting. That would be cool.
Yeah, I think it's so interesting the studies we've seen on the collagen stimulation with the threads. And what's interesting is we've seen research that shows that it's de-inflammatory and not pro-inflammatory, which was kind of odd. We expected the opposite, didn't we? So really interesting. But you build that collagen up there around that month after that thread is in, which is nice. And hence that's the reason why we tell our patients, don't go crazy with moving your face for a month. I tell them a month. I want the collagen to really lock on and hold those in place so nothing unhooks and they lose their lift. So it's pretty cool.
I should scare them more about not moving their face, because I tell them it's going to be sore. I said, take it easy, but I think they do. Patients like to talk a lot. I don't know. Scare them more.
I tell them facial rest, and they look at me like, I know what they're going to ask me. I'm like, no, that too. No, a month. No. Okay, can we go off topic?
Sure.
Okay, you are doing such interesting stuff with sexual health. Can you kind of explain what you're doing? Males and females, you've kind of gotten off in your practice where you're really, really specializing in a lot of the issues that males and females have. So can you kind of explain that to us a little bit?
Yeah, how did it all start? I'm a dermatologist. Why do I deal with sex? I think as a dermatologist, work with hormones in general, for skin, hair. I've always done hormone therapy to some extent. And then when I got a laser, when I opened my own practice, I got a vaginal rejuvenation laser. And when you train on that, you realize that if you have a laser for the vagina, you need to have hormones on board too, because if you don't, you're not going to get the results you really want. Estrogen is so important for the hydration of the skin, for your collagen in general. And taking that with the face, even, we lose so much collagen after menopause. It's depressing, and people don't talk about that enough, right? So I love hormones. I've been on hormones for 8 years. I think that's why I have good skin, hopefully. So I'm passionate about hormone therapy because I believe it helps you age better. And so if you do hormones, then you do vaginal rejuvenation. From there, I was like, well, what about penis rejuvenation, anal rejuvenation? Like, I could use these lasers on different parts of the body because we know the anatomy, we know the tissue, we know how to do it safely. And so from then, I just kind of took the idea and ran with it. If we can make vaginas look better, labia, plumping, whatever, fillers, threads, I could do that to the anus. I could do that to the penis. I do penis filler. I do penis Botox. I do labia filler, all these things. And then things for regenerative health. We work on functionality too. So aside from hormones, we do shockwave therapy, laser for the penis, blood vessels, the nerves. Amsela, we have quite a few different protocols that we do, shots, P shots, PRP, therapy. And I think what do I do, because I think there's a need, and a lot of my patients will say, I went to my OB and they were not helpful at all. They said, well, why are you having sex when you're 70? I'm like, that's horrible. You should be having sex. It's good for your skin. It's good for your blood pressure, right? Makes you happier. So I am all for sexual health because people don't talk about it enough. It's interesting on TV. You can't talk about vaginas. Viagra's, they've had commercials on TV for years, but you can't say vagina on TV. That's really sad. It's patriarchy, right? I don't know. But it's just interesting how women definitely have been ignored in terms of sexual health, right? Men, you guys have Viagra. That's easy for you. But Viagra is just a band-aid. We go for more regenerative health and how to make their penises function better too.
Nice.
Interesting. Okay, so ask her your question.
Well, no, I'm gonna wait until she comes here and she's gonna teach me some of the
Ah.
things. Hopefully. Why not?
True.
You should host a class, Jessie.
I should. Well, I do train. It's just we get busy, right? It's like you have so many hours in a day. It's hard. It's hard to kind of, I kind of picked it up all just randomly, classes, training. It's just on my own. It's there's no wrong, right or wrong way to do
When
it.
you come to LA and do the aesthetic immersion, we can have you back for one extra day and you can film a whole training course. Then
Well,
we
you
can
have to have
tell it to
hormones,
everybody
all
out
right? You
there.
gotta have like neuromodulators, your fillers, and your devices to help all these things. Yeah, that'd be fun to build.
I think it
We
would be
can do that.
great.
We can do that.
Now I'm like, oh, my mind's thinking because ultimately these are the things that people are interested in. I think that the hard part is like when Threads first got started. Who do you go to learn? Who do you go to get information? And you've done your research. People want to learn this type of stuff, and if you've able to gather out certain amount of information and are able to share it, it really helps kind of open the conversation, because I don't think sexual health, sexual wellness is still in the US a little bit of more of a faux pas of talking about it as much. Slowly we're talking a little bit about it, but ultimately it is important in relationships. It is important in just being a normal, functional person. And I think people get scared about it, and very embarrassed about talking about it.
Yes,
And I think we as
it's a huge part
practitioners,
of life, right? I mean, we came because our parents had sex, right? We shouldn't be ignoring it because if you're not doing it, then you should be. It makes you healthier and happier.
see, that's why I always love Jessie.
Have more sex.
I love it. We're gonna have fun with her.
Of course.
We're gonna have fun with
No.
her.
I guess we are coming towards the end. Any last minute things from you, Jesse, for people out there jumping into the thread world about the Mint Summit? Last minute.
Well, I think Midsummer, you do get access to the VA Must Library, is that correct?
I
All
believe.
those videos from back in the day. I think that's
Please.
huge because seeing different people doing threads in different ways, again, there's no right or wrong way, there's just better ways to do it. We all do them differently. And, right, I think it's really cool to have that digital library at your disposal because we're all busy people. Why not just tune in every so often and instead of being on TikTok or whatever, you can watch your library and learn from VI Must.
True. That is
Yeah.
very true.
And I have so many people that come up to me at conferences and let me know how much they love that library.
Yeah.
People go through that and they look at all of the VI musts and learn so much from the library that Mint provides. It's like we talked about. You talked about education is key with this company. So, yeah. So if you haven't been on that library, get onto the Mint website and get onto their educational library, and they have great stuff from years gone by that we've done 8-hour-long summits. So there's a lot of education in there. Yeah.
A lot of education.
Get your coffee, sit down, get a comfortable pillow, and
Yeah, it's very digestible little bits, right? Do like a half hour there, do it in your own practice, come back and learn some more later.
Thing is you go, you learn a little bit of the didactics, then you go to a hands-on course and you have them walk you through it, say, hey, I wanted to play around with this. And I mean, that's how you get good with threads. As you said, it really is tissue playing. I'm a big believer in that. That's the hardest thing for practitioners to get down, especially I will probably say, especially my cannula users with fillers, they're always in the wrong tissue plane because they like to stay in that superficial subdermal-ish tissue plane. I'm like, no, that's a little too superficial. That's a dimple. And I preface everything when I first walk in. If you use cannulas for fillers, trust me, you're gonna feel very uncomfortable because we're gonna go deeper than where that needs to be.
right.
So I mean that it's fun. All of this stuff that we do is fun, and I'm grateful to be in this field.
It's we pinch ourselves, I think.
Right.
We're very
It's
lucky.
the best
We're
field to be in, right? Forget about dermatology.
best specialty ever. Yeah. It's
All right.
awesome.
Well, thank you so much, Jessie, for
Thank
taking
you.
the time out tonight. We can't see you. Are you going to Aesthetic next? Are you?
Yes, I will see you on, I think I'm getting there Wednesday. I'll be doing the talk on Thursday and doing guys with you guys on Friday.
Yay!
Perfect.
Then
We'll see you.
there.
See you in Dallas. Perfect.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Jessie.
Okay. Thank you.
Good night.
We'll see you
Thanks,
soon.
everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, she's so cute. Oh, good. We'll be seeing her in a couple weeks in
I-
Dallas. So
No, next week.
is it next week? Oh,
It's
God.
next week.
I only look at my calendar 1 week ahead.
Wednesday.
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 Oh, man.
We get off to log back in, guys, because I know we have another one after this.
Oh, oh yeah, we
Yeah.
do. We do.
Yep.
I don't know.
What time
we
is
need
that
to,
one?
we
Okay.
need to close it out here for all the viewers for
Yep.
AI Live.
Okay.
So
Oh.
thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate that. And hopefully you picked up some good little pointers on threads, on when can you learn to do threads, that it's a long, deep learning curve, the different types of things you need to kind of learn about them, and that the Mint Summit is coming up. And if you can come to Los Angeles, please come. I don't think it's sold out, right?
I don't know.
I don't think so. But I think
don't
there's
think
probably
so.
still openings. But Saturday, October 21st, it's all day long. It's at a beautiful hotel in Los Angeles. So VIP and VIP's closed. That's, I think, already sold out. But RSVP. And you're going to have a wonderful, wonderful day. And we'll get to hang out with you, all of us. It'll be kind of fun.
Yep, exactly.
Good day of learning.
Well, thank you for joining us. I guess
Our next
anything
AI
else, sir?
Live is going to be October 3rd.
October 3rd. Yes.
So it's
October 3rd.
unveiling the dark side of aesthetics.
We get
Yeah.
into the nitty gritty.
Yeah.
The backside of things with the
The
aesthetic
good, the bad, and the
industry.
ugly, whatever.
There's
Yeah.
good, there's bad, there's lots of things that we've
Yeah.
learned.
there's good stuff too, but we just want to really be honest and open with everybody. So tell your friends to come and join us on October 3rd.
All right.
All right.
Have a good night, guys.
Good night, you guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.